Can you remember who your teachers were?
Yes, Mr. Miller, I don't remember whether I had him 1 or 2 years. And then it was Mr. Arndt, I had him 1 year. And then it was Mr. Nicol, and he was there the rest of the time.
And what'd your school look like?
We had all one room and all 8 grades. And the furnace or the stove was in the middle of the school, and that was fired with coal. And I was in the first row at on the left-hand side. It was first, second, third, fourth, and fifth on that side, and on the right side was 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Do you remember what kind of a desk you had?
Oh, yeah. It was two seats. It was a bench seat. And, oh, that's not right. That individual. And there was one here and one here with an aisle in the middle and a big aisle on this side from the stove back. And had a top, and then underneath was where we put our books. And the seat folded up whenever you stood up, and the seat folded up.
And what did you drink at school? And where did the water come from?
We had a pump outside, right outside the door, and they had it fixed so that whenever you pumped, the water came up like a fountain, and that's where we got our drink.
And what did you get for lunch?
Carried our lunch in a lunch bucket. Oh, I had sandwiches, maybe an apple, and always something sweet, cookies or cake.
Yeah. What did you usually drink for lunch?
Went out to the pump and got a drink.
Yeah. And what'd you do at recess?
Oh, we played Andy over the school. We played hide and go seek because a lot of the sheds were there that used to be. They drove horse and buggies to church, and they would put their horse and buggy in the shed while church was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And those sheds were still there whenever I went to school there. There were sheds on the right-hand side of the school, and on the back side they were some sheds along there. They were 3-sided sheds with roofs, and they were built together. There was just like a partition between the sheds, and they were open in the front. So when it rained, we could play in those sheds. We could play different games in those sheds.
Do you remember when they tore them down?
No, I don't.
See, I don't either.
I don't remember. All of a sudden they were gone. But they were still there when I
Graduated.
graduated from 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. And where did you play at? Around the school or where?
We had the whole churchyard to
Yeah.
play in. Yeah, we had ball games. We used a board for a bat. We played fox and geese in the wintertime in the snow.
Did you have snowball fights?
I don't remember ever participating in a snowball fight, but I know there were fights.
Did you
Especially the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever play kick the can?
Beg your pardon?
Did you ever play kick the can?
I don't remember playing that.
Okay.
And where were your bathrooms?
Outside toilets. Not the privies or what? Outside toilets. The girls was down on the right-hand
That's
side
right.
at the end of those
Yep.
sheds, and the boys were on
Mm-hmm.
back at the sheds back on the left-hand side back.
That didn't change much from when I went to school. What was it like to have Christmas in the school and church? What do you remember about Christmas back then?
Getting ready for our Christmas program
That's
on
right.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
We would practice all those Christmas carols, hymns, and each one had a part in recitation
Mm-hmm.
of the Christmas program from the taken from the Bible, the passages from the Bible. Each one had a verse or a portion from the Bible of the Christmas story.
Do you remember of getting anything Christmas Eve from the church back then?
Oh, we always got a box of
Yeah.
candy. You know, and every child that was
Yeah.
at the program got a box of candy.
That was a real treat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah.
And do you remember what the end of school was like? Any programs or anything you had?
Oh, yeah, we had, it was a picnic. Everybody took something, and it was held in the basement of the church. The food was all put out, and the kids got to go first. And then in the afternoon, that was at noon, and then in the afternoon, we always had a drill of some sort, a maypole. or a flag drill,
Yeah.
and then in the evening, in the basement of the church, there was a stage, and we had little plays. Some had recitations of poems. I always remember Louise Lang.
Oh, did you?
Her mother made seafoam icing. I think that's what it was, 7-minute icing or something like that, in a big bowl. And
Oh my gosh.
Louise was licking out that bowl, and she had a poem or recitation
Mm.
to go with that, and I always remember Louise doing that. That was so funny.
It was so much simpler back then, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened when you didn't listen when you were in school? Obey. Maybe you always listened.
I always tried to. And I don't remember of ever being punished for anything. No. No, I don't. I saw Mr. Nicol give one boy, and the boy, I don't remember who it was, but anyhow, he spanked him.
I was
right,
gonna say,
right in front of everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can
I
you remember? Go ahead, Mary.
Did it help?
Oh, yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. At Valentine's Day, we always had a Valentine box.
Yeah.
And I remember one time for Valentine's Day, I took cake, and everybody got a piece of cake on Valentine's Day. It was just something special.
Your mother must have liked to bake.
I baked it.
You baked it.
I baked it.
Well, how nice.
Yeah. I baked
Good for you.
And back then it would have been a treat, wouldn't it?
it. Yeah.
And they were homemade.
Do you remember when all of you got a chance to go up in that lift after they got finished
Oh, yeah.
putting the brick?
Yeah. Yeah. We went up on that elevator. We had our picture taken up there.
Oh, did you?
I remember the old church.
Yeah.
My brother Floyd was confirmed in was the last confirmation class in the old church.
Oh.
What do you remember about the old church?
Oh, yes.
What do you remember about it? What did it look like? Where was it?
It was just about where the church is now.
Mm-hmm. What was the outside like?
It was a white frame church, had a tower, and when in the basement would be facing south. There were like two doors opened up
Mm.
into the basement. And the church faced the north side. I remember going into it, but the rest of it, I just...
So the old church was there the whole time you went to school?
Oh, no,
No.
No.
What year?
no. It was torn down in... I thought 27. But I remember going to the cornerstone laying of the new church.
Oh, okay.
I remember that. It was just the would be the church floor was just plank, or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was, that's, just like the stable, the plank floor. And the cornerstone was laid at this corner. I remember being at the cornerstone laying.
Where did you worship after the old one was torn down? Before the new one was done?
In the school, I really don't remember, but I would say it was in the school.
Do you remember anything about the inside of the old building?
The old church.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what the altar looked like?
Not particularly. I just have a vision of them go in this way. Pews on this side, pews on this side.
How did you get to school?
Yeah, I forgot
Walked.
that. Yeah.
Walked to and from school. It
About how far was that?
was just a mile from our place to school.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was the road paved then?
oh no. Even in the wintertime, we walked to church
Yeah.
because the roads were so bad. And at that time, we had a Model T Ford. And when the roads were mud that deep,
Get stuck.
Were you the only ones that walked from that particular area? Was there anybody else on the road that you?
on
Hannahstown.
Hannahstown Road. No, Fisher Road. The Montagues
Oh, okay.
lived down at the foot of that steep hill.
Mm-hmm.
Montagues, and then Roland, and then Margaret, and Lillian. They would walk to our house, and then we would go to walk to church, to school. Then the Montagues, Roland and Margaret. Margaret wasn't too well there for a while, and her dad would take us in his truck, come pick us up and take us to church, to school. And then sometimes when my dad wasn't working in the bad weather, he would take us. That would be rain, or early snow, or early, before the roads really got bad. But anyway.
Were there any other Montagues down at the bottom of the hill
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was
that came?
yeah.
And some of Blaine's.
Let's see,
I forgot about them.
Harold was.
Yeah.
Harold was
Ray?
Ray and Dorothy. What? Madeline.
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 Mm-hmm. Vernon?
Vernon.
Mm-hmm. Kenny.
Kenny? He may have been younger.
Did they all go there?
another one.
Can't remember.
Vernon, Kenny, and, right. Wasn't that-
Madeline was, I think she came about 3 years, and I think she graduated then. And then Kenny and Dorothy, and then Ray, they came. Yeah.
Did Alma or any of them come from across the other way?
Alma just came the years that she went to
Confirmation.
instructions.
Mhm.
They lived quite a far, that was quite a
Yeah,
walk.
they-
Yeah,
They were further, and then there were 2 Montague girls, Florence and I don't know exactly where they lived. They lived at Marwood and Cabot area. And it's the other Montagues
yeah.
over on 356. There was Marie and
Yeah, that's
Florence. There was enough, those 2, and then it was Edwin and Edgar.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They went to school whenever I did. Marie and Florence were older, much.
Do you remember anything about Teacher Arndt when he was there?
No. I don't remember much about him. He was sort of, it was his first year of teaching from college. I think he was sort of taken advantage of by the kids.
how many years did you have Mr. Nicol? Do you remember?
5 years. I don't remember whether he was started me in the 3rd grade. Whether I had Mr. Miller 1 year and Mr. Arndt 1 year, and then Mr. Miller, or
Nicol?
Mr. Nicol.
Do you remember anything about classes that you had with Mr. Nicol?
There was just, he was a personal friend. The whole family was a personal friend of our family. I would babysit with their kids,
Hmm.
all the Nicol kids. Yeah. But there was I don't know how to say it. When I Mr. Nicol would send I don't know what, it was either 1st or 2nd grade. He would send them over to the kitchen in the church basement, and I would go over and teach, instruct them on arithmetic. Mr. Nicol would give me what I was to do. And we would be over there maybe half hour and then I'd bring them back to school. But I did that a couple times a week. You know, bring them addition. I guess it must have been, I don't know what, second or third grade probably in that. No reading because I wasn't a good reader. I didn't like to read and I didn't. But that I regret that I didn't take to reading more. But now I like to read. But now my eyes are going bad and I just large print and magnifying glass.
Did you have a memory verse every day to learn?
Out of the catechism we had
Memory verses.
let's see, catechism Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday and Thursday we had Bible stories. We had a book. We had the catechism, and then we had the Bible stories, and we had those. We had to memorize a verse for each one. The hour of devotion was the first thing in the morning. We had either catechism or Bible stories and prayer, sang a hymn. That was our morning, the first thing in the morning. And then we had whatever other classes we had after that.
Did you have to memorize any of the hymns?
Oh, yeah.
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 And do you remember most of them today?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to memorize hymns too.
Yeah.
But, yes, I get, when I read my Bible, I can, those verses
Right.
come back.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Do you remember any other classes, how those classes went, what you did for the classes? Did you have art? Did you have music?
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah,
had,
all
and
that.
we had penmanship.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I remember making
Yeah.
those circles. Yeah.
And they don't teach that today.
And
No.
what did you have to write with?
We wrote with pen and ink. We had the
Yeah.
pens.
Yeah, the
You
ink wells.
dip them in the ink well,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. Over and over and over.
over and over. Yeah. And I still write that way. Yeah. Not anymore, but my
That was a
name.
very
My
important thing
name.
back then.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about your reading classes, what kind of book you used, or how Mr. Nicol taught?
Oh, we had arithmetic, English, geography.
Do you remember any health classes? Like he used to talk about the different food groups and I do.
Not much, no.
How many books did you have?
Now you're asking hard
Oh,
questions.
fine. Catechism, the Bible history, spelling, history, geography. That's 5. I don't know.
Reading.
Yeah, oh yes, reading, yeah, which I did like.
See
And then
Dixie Jane.
we take turns, you have to get up before the class
Mhm.
and read, and that I didn't like. So,
Did you have pictures in your books?
oh yes. History, we had pictures of war. And geography, I love geography. All those maps and I still love geography.
Do you remember what time you got out of school?
4 o'clock. We started at 9, and
How long did you have for lunch? Do you remember that?
we had an hour for
Yeah.
lunch. We had recess,
Yeah.
15 minutes in the morning, and in the afternoon
Yeah.
we had another 15 minutes. That was when the first, second, third, and fourth, I believe, kids could go home. And then we had another hour after that. Yeah, we eat our lunch. If it was nice weather, we'd take our lunch
Yeah.
outside and eat outside. And bad weather, we ate right at our desk in the school.
How did that work if the little kids went home and their older brother or sister were still at school? Did they stay and wait for them, or did
Yeah.
they?
They stayed and waited. Those that were a little older or lived close by, they could go home. But those that lived further away, they waited till they had to come back and sit at their desk till the rest were ready to go home.
What was confirmation like?
Pardon me?
What was confirmation like?
Yeah, that's,
We went over to the church basement and met with the minister. And he would explain the portion of the catechism that we were, had that portion for that day. And then he would review the day before, ask us to repeat the passages from the day before, and then would give us explanation of the today's lesson. He would explain that to us. We were there for an hour, or practically an hour, because we would have prayer and sing a hymn and reading from the Bible before we went over there.
do you remember who the minister was?
I had Reverend Hofius.
How many days a week did you have confirmation?
3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the day they had Bible history in school, we were there for the Bible history.
Did you have to get up and tell any of those Bible history stories?
Oh, yeah,
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 I remember that.
yeah, he would call on them.
Do you remember what confirmation day was like?
Yes. There were 10 in my class, confirmation class. It was 4 boys, 6 girls. Elmer Durr, Edwin Montag, Charles Spader, and Alfred Maroff. And the girls were Grace Seeger, Louise Lang, Lillian Folstead, Sutton Folstead,
Mm-hmm.
Lillian Frank,
Yeah.
Helen Kegler, and me. Yeah, you set up front and minister asked you questions, asked questions. I remember whether we put our hand up or whether
No.
we just went down the line. I don't remember that.
I do.
But the girls were in white dresses and
Yeah.
boys were in suits.
Mm-hmm. And scared to death.
Yes. And then at the end of questions and answers, and individually we went up to the altar and kneeled.
Yeah.
He put his hand on and blessed us. And we became members of the church.
Yeah.
Well, whenever the teacher was teaching, had a class with one of the other grades, you you listened.
Yeah.
You knew what was going on. When you were probably 7th or 8th grade, you didn't pay too much attention, but you still knew what was going on in each grade, because we were all together.
Yeah.
We didn't, when you had one class, he came closer to your class, like 8th grade, one here, one back here, and one here. That was the 8th grade. And the 7th grade was there was more in the 7th grade over here. They had a whole row of 7th graders. But you heard what he was teaching those other kids. You couldn't help but hear, even though you were trying to do something in your own class, get ready for your class coming up.
It was a good review.
Mm.
It was good review, listening.
Yes, yes.
Confirmation, did you have 7th and 8th grade together or just 8th grade when you went with Pastor?
That was 7th and 8th grade,
Mhm.
yeah. Because there was just the 4 of us in 8th grade, and then those other ones, the other 6 were from the 7th grade.
Do you remember anything about the stove? Did Mr. Nicol take care of it, or how'd they do that?
The boys always had to make sure there was coal there.
Yeah.
They didn't use any wood that I remember. it was all coal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the boys had to make sure they had to take the ashes out. The teacher fired the stove, the big coal stove.
Mhm. What about shoveling snow? Did the boys help with that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. The boys did that.
Where was the coal kept?
And there was a coal shed down in back of the school. That was the regular coal shed.
If there was an emergency during school, if somebody fell or somebody was sick or somebody ripped their clothing, what happened?
Mrs.
Not much happened. My sister, one time when we were sled riding, she was going down the hill on a sled and somebody was coming up pulling their sled and they flipped their sled over and hit her. She wasn't knocked out, but later we found out she had a concussion.
Mm.
She wasn't, like I said, she wasn't knocked out, but she acted funny. She had, for a couple days, she just wasn't herself. And we found out later that she had a concussion, and nothing was done.
Yeah.
Nothing was done. Yeah.
Do you remember sled riding outside down the hill? How did you do that? Where did that happen? The sled riding.
We would sled ride from in front of the church,
Yeah.
on the road,
Mhm.
down in the dip
Towards the cemetery.
toward the cemetery. Yeah. And then she was going down on a sled. And I don't know who it was. This happened after I graduated, and she was still going to St. Luke's School, because she was younger than me.
But did you sled ride when you were there?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That was a big thing.
That was a big thing. Yeah.
Did you have anybody standing at the top making sure there wasn't any traffic coming?
No, there wasn't ever any there.
There wasn't traffic.
No, there
No,
wasn't.
we didn't have to worry about traffic. That was one thing we didn't have to worry about, traffic.
Well, and the road wasn't paved then either, was it?
Oh, no.
Mm.
The road wasn't paved until after I was going to high school. We didn't have a bus.
Oh.
We didn't have a bus. Whenever I went to high school, in the wintertime,
That's what.
I walked from our place to Jefferson Center.
Jefferson Center.
That was a mile.
Yeah.
And the first 2 years I went to high school, I rode with Ralph Fernberg.
Mm.
This third year, Walter Teeley drove, and the fourth year I drove
Oh my gosh.
to Butler High, and each time there were 6 of us in the car. The last, yeah, the last year I drove, the road was paved from Jefferson Center to Hannistown. That road was paved. WPA.
The WPA did it.
Yep.
Do you remember who was in the car?
Yes. The first year, Ralph, Marguerite Tussey, me in the front seat. In the back seat was Aggie Fligger, Walter Teeley, and Florence Fisher.
Mm.
When the roads were good, they'd come, Ralph would come Hannistown Road to Fisher Road, and then Fisher Road to 356. And we would pick up Florence Fisher at, she lived at the Fisher Farm out on near 356. In the wintertime, Florence walked from her place down to Jefferson Center, and I walked from our place to. And Florence had polio. Her one leg was shorter and thinner than the other leg. She had polio. In the wintertime, she'd wrap her legs in newspaper and walk down to Mr. Holman had the store at Jefferson Center, and he was always open, so we could go in and get warm in the store.
Do you remember the price of gasoline then?
When I drove to school, it was 15 cents a gallon. 15 cents.
What kind of car?
A Ford. Yeah. 15 cents a gallon. Two brothers, David and Floyd, were both older than me, and then my sister Ruth.
Oh, okay.
David was 94 when he died. Floyd was just 50. Here I am, and my sister was 75 when she died.
And how old are you now?
I'm 98.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Any advice you could give to kids?
Stay off of drugs.
And what about studying?
Go to church. Keep Jesus as your guide.
We didn't mean to bring tears, but thank you for telling those kids that's exactly what they need to hear.
Right.
I have 8 grandchildren.
Oh my. And how many great-grandchildren?
I don't know for sure. I have 1 great
Oh my.
grandson.
Wow.
I am so blessed. My son had no children. But I have 10 grandchildren, great kids.
And I'm sure you enjoyed each one.
I have. They're great. Whenever that picture was taken, I said, you know, I'm not a blood grandma. And they said, you are our grandma.
That's right. When was that taken?
He's 6 years old. So it's
Oh, okay.
6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've always been their grandma.
That's such a blessing.
That is. That's such a nice picture.
Yes,
Nice wording.
I'm very proud of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it?
In 13, yeah.
Well, and it looks the same.
Mm.
It looks the same.
Yeah, they added on to it. And they
In the
did-
back,
They
huh?
did a nice job,
Yeah.
yeah.
2013.
Mm-hmm. That was her
How many
Christmas card that year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Her father had
Yeah.
brothers.
My dad was one of 11. Excuse me. There were 9 boys and 2 girls. And they lived, here's the crossroads, Hannestown Road and Fisher Road. And we were there, and just up Fisher Road was where Dad wasn't born there. He was born in Millville. But Grandpa bought this farm. When they lived in Millville, my grandfather was a baker. And he come out here and bought this property.
Mhm.
He had on both sides of the Fisher Road, he had. And Dad and Mother bought 7 acres off of Grandpap. Oh, and Grandpap owned this too. This was Wickenhagen's on this side of Fisher Road. Grandpap owned that. And my mother was born and raised over on Neubert Road. They tore the house down a couple years ago. She wasn't born in that house, but there was an old house just down, just a little ways back off of the road. And then Grandpa and Grandma built this house. It just was close to noon. 1886. Dad was born in 83, and Mother was born in 86.